guys, today I wanted to talk about a situation that is in
China
right now, with naturally the Evergrande real estate developer, but as well as overall transformation that this country is going through. I watched and read a ton of materials and saw that there are many views, and one of them saying that China is over, that it's done and you shouldn't be investing there your money, that they are not welcome there. Based on recent rallies on their billionaires and basically smashing them to the ground. As an example, Jack Ma from Alibaba, who is currently very keen to give away huge amounts of cash to the people. Coincidence? Don't think so. I need to tell you that my sources are, of course, official mainstream media like Bloomberg, Reuters, CNN, etc., and many individual journalists who have their own experience, for example, by living in China. I will present both views with as much objective approach as possible, but you need to have in mind that this is purely my interpretation. So before we go to Evergrande case, which I will cover, of course, but slightly later in the video, because everybody is wondering if it could spark some global crisis. And I need to say up front that I don't think so. And why I think like that? Please give me a couple of minutes and I'll explain. So let's start from the beginning and discuss what's going on. I'll start from the main difference that is right now between the China and the Western countries like US and the EU members, for example. And I have on mean the planning, basically. China is planning its policy for the long term, while the US for the short term, for example. While the US is planning big government spending on public projects, which is basically painting grass on green color, which is burning money essentially. And on the Chinese side, I don't know if you heard about National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party. Essentially, every 5 years they come up with an economical plan for their country, and later they gather every year at National People's Congress and discuss what has been done, what still needs to be done, and needs to be changed, for example, which is in short form, what's the next step. So this is public, there are articles about that, you can read it yourself, just Google National People's Congress and you will have all the information needed. So overall the plan for China for the next 5 years was to be more self-reliant for developing key technologies, to reduce the dependency from the United States and Europe. They want to boost domestic consumption and reduce economic reliance on export of low-quality goods. In this year's meeting, they stated that they want to create 11 million new urban jobs in 2021 and achieve a 6% growth. So this means they want to transform China from a manufacturing powerhouse into a more developed country. We can see that they want to become something like a combination of Germany, which makes mostly cars, which is high quality, high margin goods, and the US with their innovative companies. So now it shouldn't be a surprise for you that big companies like Samsung are withdrawing their factories from China to Vietnam, or other companies choose, for example, the Indonesia. They have a hard goal to achieve, which in my opinion will be extremely difficult. But let's now move into talking about the changes in regulations. China saw what is happening in the US, where the effects on society of using social media too much made that generally young generations are not willing to work. Everybody wants to be an influencer, and as you guessed it, it doesn't produce much value in the economy. Lightly speaking, of course. So in China, there are certain laws approved, such as restrictions for kids to play games only 3 hours per week, no streaming for under 16 kids, no showing in public media the effeminate men, TikTok available only for 1 hour a day for kids, etc. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. Honestly, I would not want the government to tell me how much my kid play games and stuff, but you can see the logic here. Next thing was big tech companies that became too powerful. Look at what Twitter did to Donald Trump. Essentially banned the president, and the Amazon shut down the servers of the company that later Trump used as a platform to speak to the public. Not talking about lobbying activity and so on. The Chinese Communist Party, of course, didn't want that to happen in their country, and they had to step in and limit their billionaires' activities. And right now, I can answer one of the questions. Is it done already? Should I not invest in China? Is my money not safe over there? In a nutshell, certainly there is a huge political risk and you need to watch out for various sectors. In my opinion, you just need to play their game and choose stocks that they feel are right to invest to. You can't invest blindly in China. I mean not Instagram and TikTok worthy companies. The companies from the old economy, the dirty and dusty firms that are in the petrochemical, for example, and mining sector, such as CNOOC, Sinopec, PetroChina. Check how those stocks performs. You will be surprised. They pay a good dividend, by the way, so it is not over. In order to transform the economy, they will need a capital, but they will do it in their own way. Have you heard about DG1? Yeah, this is part of the plan. And crypto, which are banned right now as well, was a competition for them. So now, more or less, you have some background to understand what and why is going on in China. There are many other nuances and cases that I could talk about, but let's not dive so much into geopolitics, but more about economy. I'll be recording more of this kind of videos, so there will be another occasion to talk about that. So, Evergrande. You all guys know by now that they are the second largest real estate developer in China, but they also run multiple businesses, such as an investment business, and sell wealth management products. I will just also remind you that we are talking about $305 billion in debt, 200,000 workers and 4 million contractors working for them. So the blow potentially can be huge. The case is that they were taking loans from the banks and the deposits from the customers to build new apartments. And after new regulations from Chinese government, they couldn't take so much debt anymore and had to start selling real estate at lower prices to get cash, which ran out very fast. That right now they can't operate normally. And they leveraged themselves so much that they owe this 305 billions and the deposits for 1.5 million apartments that have not been built yet. So people were paying money for the buildings that were in plans for the next couple years. Even one shovel wasn't digging. So this is much different from the Lehman Brothers scenario. The US from 2008 was about derivatives, which have a value on paper. It was a bet and somebody had to take the responsibility for that. Here they deal with real estate, which has some real value, right? There are real buildings, which means it is purely a Chinese situation. And of course, there are some foreign banks that will get hit, but it is not as significant as it was with the housing bubble from 13 years ago. Naturally, it will hit the Chinese economy. The workers would get laid off, other companies that did business with Evergrande will get hit, but this is no systemic failure that can cause some global crisis. Right now, what they need is cash and patience, because this is a real estate business. They just need the banks to extend their payments, finish the projects, sell them even with a discount, and eventually pay off the debt. And here is the tricky part. When you have a bad press and troubles, nobody will lend you money, for example, in Europe. But hey, this is China. The banks are more or less the extension of the government. When they say lend, the banks will lend. When they say don't, the banks will not lend. I think, and to be honest, for the sake of those people, I hope that's what's gonna happen, that the government will bail them out indirectly because they became too big to fail. Some direct intervention is rather impossible because of the PR. The communists would become hypocrites. When they first criticized the US government for bailing out the rich and now they would do the same, that wouldn't count. They will have to do it eventually, since Evergrande is starting offering its customers real estate instead of debt payment. It would be okay if somebody would want it at this point, but that will force the company to flood the market with highly discounted real estate and basically break it apart. The market where prices were rising 10 to 15% every year. Why is that important? Well, depending on the sources, the real estate market is about from 30 to 40% of the whole China GDP. So I guess it is important, and the Chinese will do everything to settle this matter. So okay guys, I hope you get some perspective. Keep in mind that this is just my subjective approach, my theories, and I'm no way advocating for China. I'm far from that. Just wanted to share my thoughts, my research on that topic. Many people are making videos to scare you by talking about another disaster, how bad it is, etc., when they don't have any idea what they are talking about and how the market works. So I'm not some specialist either or some guru that you should blindly listen to, but some stuff that I saw is just ridiculous. So remember to do your own research and think independently. Okay, I'll end now. Thank you for watching and I hope you see you next time. Cheers.